happiness at being with this company now for over 30 years. And the adventure only gets better all the time. It's a very happy place to be, I would say, just because of the products that we have and the manner in which we share them with other people. To give you just a little company background before we start, the Juice Plus company is actually 48 years old, so we're sneaking up on a half a century in the marketplace. We were actually the company that many years ago introduced smoke detectors for the home, and that obviously laid the foundation for a very, very successful future. Certainly that product was a multi-billion-dollar product. Diversifying over the years, going into the field of environment in the early 80s with water filtration and air filtration, another big hit, and so billions in sales there. And then 25 years ago this year, we just celebrated our 25th anniversary with the Juice Plus products and family of products. So obviously, I think the great find of both last century and this century, the Juice Plus product line. But if you look at our company, the whole focus has been for the health and well-being of mankind. Certainly smoke detectors for safety, water and air filtration, water, air, Juice Plus, pure food, pure whole food, just very basic, all of those things to human health. And our company has really been focused on the good and well-being of mankind. And I think for myself, and I know for so many of you on the line, those of you I know, and I know many of you, is, that's part of the joy. It's great to be involved in a business experience that really brings the best to people. And we have actually been doing this call now every Monday night for 28 years. We've not missed a Monday night, and we've been very blessed to have people who come to us who really bring a lot of knowledge and expertise, and they do it really out of, just kindness and the same thing, wanting to bring the best to people. Sometimes our calls will be about our business, sometimes they will be about our product, and sometimes both. And tonight I think you're going to find that you're going to learn a lot about health and great ways to take care of yourself. Our special speakers this evening are Bonnie Schnautz, who's an MD, and she's a naturopathic doctor. She's also an NMD, which means that she is a national marketing director, top position with our company. And she'll also, joining her will be Beth Leopold, 100 Club National Marketing Director. Again, that title is, a top position with our company. But both of these people bring great expertise as well. To give you a little background, Dr. Bonnie Schnautz is a naturopathic doctor, digestive health specialist, and holistic cancer educator. She partnered with the Juice Plus Company 8 years ago and achieved the status of National Marketing Director after 5 years. She and her husband, Alvin, have 3 grown children plus an active 4-year-old grandson. They love to travel with their 4-legged child, Baylee, to the beach, and Juice Plus has given them the means to do this. Previous to her holistic health profession, Bonnie spent 28 years in the corporate environment in industries from information technology to pharmaceuticals. She advanced to VP of Sales and Marketing and realized quickly she was extremely unfulfilled. She stepped away from the security of a corporate job to shift into holistic health to pursue her dream of helping others change their health and fulfill their dreams. Beth Leopold is also a National Marketing Director, 100 Club member, and lives in Wesley Chapel, Florida. Beth has been honored on numerous occasions for her business development, 24 Club and 39 Club Member of the Year. She is married to Eric, who is a retired lieutenant from the Sarasota County Fire Department, and now joins Beth in the business, so the two of them get to enjoy an endeavor together. They have 2 children, aged 15 and 18. Beth has a background in physical therapy and has been a certified group fitness trainer for many years. Their family has been on Juice Plus since 2007, and shortly after realized the business was a way to set their families really finances free and give them opportunities not available before. So tonight I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bonnie Schnautz. She's going to talk about the journey that people unfortunately deal with at times, which is adrenal fatigue and the power of a healthy lifestyle and how to have the highest level of health. So, Dr. Schnautz, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Cheryl. So, again, as I said, I'm Bonnie Schnautz, and as far as being a naturopathic doctor, that's something that if you're not familiar with, I'm not trained medically. We don't treat, diagnose, or cure. We really look at determining how the body is in balance or is out of balance, or if you're maintaining homeostasis. So we work with the 10 organ systems, making sure that they are balanced and really allowing the body to do what God intended it to do. So we reside here in southern Indiana. We're in Evansville, Indiana, and today not only am I speaking about adrenal fatigue from my personal experience, but just as much from as a healthcare provider. So there's a lot of health conditions, obviously, that really can't be understood until you experience them, and adrenal fatigue is definitely one of those. So I really, truly feel blessed that I was able to experience that so I could help others. And as we all know, stress is truly at the root of all chronic disease. And stress is in three forms. It comes either in a physical form, which could be a car accident, a fall, a surgery. The second type is emotional, and we all know what that is, right? That's our jobs, our children, spouses, life, and all the stresses that come with that. The third is nutritional, and nutritional comes in a form of either an excesses or deficiencies. Excesses are eating things we should not eat, inflammatory foods, toxic foods, et cetera, and deficiencies, of course, are the things we're not eating, like whole, clean, organic foods, fruits, vegetables, berries, nuts and seeds, et cetera. So sometimes we have one or two of the stressors, and sometimes we have all of the above. So regarding the adrenals and adrenal issues, you may hear different labels, and that could include terms like adrenal insufficiency, which is more of a medical diagnosis. Again, when we look at health in the body, we're really looking preventatively or prognostically. We're not diagnosing. And you may also hear terms like adrenal fatigue or burnout. Whatever you call it, it is stress, and it really impacts both the body and the mind. So really, to give you a little bit of background, for me, it started about 5 years ago, and a client had come to me sharing that she had been diagnosed with adrenal fatigue, and I had worked with a lot of clients and with a lot of health issues, but this at the time was pretty new to me. So the client was already eating a whole, clean diet. They were sleeping well, still extremely fatigued, and she was working with an integrative physician. So I knew she had already had a pretty strong level of care, but really wasn't getting the results that she needed. And the only factor that I really noticed is that she had an extremely high level of stress, that she was experiencing extreme burnout in her career, and she really felt trapped in that. So, the symptoms were puzzling. I couldn't put my finger on it how I could help her, because everything I'd done in the past really dealt with the clean eating, the resting, supporting the digestive process as a digestive health specialist, but in this case, it really wasn't enough, and I had to resolve that to, I just can't help everyone, and that was a little bit frustrating. So about a year later, I started to experience extreme fatigue, emotional sensitivity, and I say that word, it's a very soft word, because I was not a happy person. I was I just would overreact to things. I could cry at the drop of a hat, which is not like me at all. I would snap, be very short-tempered. So, that was the emotional sensitivity part that I knew was not normal. And I remember the thought of performing just some simple household task like changing the sheets on our bed was truly equivalent to running a 5K, and it would just completely overwhelm me. Some days I really couldn't even perform these things. When I did, I would literally have to lie down and rest, even after having, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So with that, at that same time, I had started adding some new services to my practice, which was saliva hormone. And saliva hormone is a little bit different. Typically, the medical community uses blood hormone testing. We use in holistic, most practitioners use saliva. We feel it's, it's a little bit more accurate in our opinion, but neurotransmitter testing takes place along with that because, again, we're not just looking at the body, we're looking at the mind as well because it's usually impacted. When we say neurotransmitters, that's going to be things like serotonin levels, epinephrine, norepinephrine, et cetera. So, looking at the results, I found out I was in phase 3 adrenal fatigue, and honestly, I was devastated and I was scared. And, you're the practitioner that is supposed to be taking care of everybody else, and I was honestly leaving work by about 2 o'clock every day because I couldn't finish the day. And I started reading and researching everything I could with what energy I had, and I learned about the different phases of adrenal fatigue, which is basically phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3, phase 1 being the more they call it the alarm phase, the beginning phases. Number 2 is resistant, and then phase 3 is what they call the exhaustion phase. Unfortunately, that was, in my quest to learn more about it, I learned it had a strong correlation with certain personality types, which is type A, perfectionists, overachievers, and I think I fit several of those categories. So if that's your profile, beware. So it really started to make sense what was going on. And the adrenal research that I did, the statistics really scared me because I was reading things like it takes up to 5 years to recover. People in phase 3, it can even lead to adrenal cancer. That's really, I think, what really got my attention and really scared me into learning what I needed to do to finally take care of myself since I was taking care of everybody else. It can also lead to Addison's disease. Addison's is where the adrenals have actually been damaged. If you guys remember, John F. Kennedy, he actually had Addison's, and one of the symptoms of that is like a golden bronze skin pigment. And I was at an event one day, and I had someone ask me if I'd recently been to Florida. Well, I had not been to Florida, and I live in the Midwest. So kind of all these pieces were coming together. So understanding a little bit more, I want to explain what is adrenal fatigue. Like I said, it's not necessarily recognized by conventional medicine, and they call it more of a syndrome, and it is caused by poorly working adrenal glands in people who are under chronic mental, emotional, or physical stress. And the typical protocol for that are drugs or steroids to, quote, treat it. So, I asked myself, that's not for me, not an option. I've always been hypersensitive to any type of medications, and obviously that's one of the reasons I went into naturopathy. So I, decided to stay on the path. I was already on a whole clean food path. I decided to look into this and start adding some supplementation after testing and knowing exactly what I needed, and also, more importantly, retraining my thought processes to balance my body. So it was about less worry and more letting go and letting God type thinking. So how did I end up here? 2 reasons. One, I was opening up a physical wellness center, which is, a business where the building had to be almost completely renovated, almost gutted. I had a contractor, but of course, as we know, if you've ever had a contractor work, it wasn't on schedule. We were having to jump in. My husband and I were having to do, anything and everything from painting to helping, put the floor, making sure the floors were installed, et cetera. So at the same time, my adult son was struggling with some very serious health and financial issues. We brought him back home, and I proceeded to take care of him as well. In the meantime, I forgot to take care of myself, being, what we typically do as mothers. So that's really where I ended up in the state I was in. I ended up not really being able to function. My dream of owning and opening a wellness center really started to become a nightmare. My temper was extremely short. Breakdowns were not uncommon. And I finally decided I had to take, not a why did this happen to me approach, but thinking, being thankful for that it did happen, that I was going to learn from it, and then I would recover because I had access to incredible resources, either that being, other healthcare professionals that could help me or products that could serve my body in a positive way. So that was my light at the end of the tunnel. It wasn't going to take me 5 years to recover because I had access to those incredible resources. So basically going back and looking at how does adrenal fatigue develop, it's really a physical energy breakdown, which again is that constant emotional stress. And essentially that stress depletes vital nutrients in the body. And as we know, one of the first areas that are impacted when stress hits is that your digestive processes are negatively impacted. And so when your vital nutrients are being, depleted faster than you can replace them, that's going to create, those serious deficiencies in nutrition, and you're going to need 2 to 3 times the amount of nutrients. And as those reserves become depleted, the energy-producing glands, which are the thyroid and the adrenals, are unable to function or maintain homeostasis. That's when you're either going to see symptoms or the symptoms that you already have are going to be magnified. So an inadequate diet, would really hasten the process. So, even if you have a healthy diet, you can be impacted by this, and that's really what happened. I would always say, diet trumps genetics, but then I decided my new line would be stress trumps a healthy diet, because I had been eating clean, organic, non-GMO for 10 years when I was, diagnosed with the adrenal fatigue. So basically, that's through, testing. This isn't something you want to self-diagnose in any form or fashion, because it is very serious. And I'll just name for you a few symptoms of adrenal fatigue, and knowing that each person, and you're going to hear from Beth in a few minutes, and you're going to hear symptoms that she had that I did not have, and vice versa. So really the number one symptom that you'll see in people is the need for just excessive sleep. When you're getting, let's say you're getting those 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and you still wake up feeling exhausted after you've slept. Now, that's not to be confused with a person who's sleeping 4 or 5, or less than 6 hours a day. They just need to sleep. This is getting a full night's sleep and just waking up like you're completely, exhausted. And sadly, I'm seeing it in a lot of women. I'm seeing it in teenagers and young children. So I think as parents, I really want to, guide you to make sure that we're doing everything to protect our children. There's so much pressures from school and being in multiple sports and social activities, and really want to look at kind of the priorities in life, keeping balance and protecting our children's health. Some of the other symptoms, of course, would be low stamina, decreased tolerance to cold, poor circulation, low blood pressure, low blood sugar, apathy, depression, achy joints, digestive processes are impacted. You would see maybe some gas, bloating, acid reflux, constipation, fears, unrealistic fears, not normal fears, toxicity. We see typically a copper toxicity. That's when normally we would conduct what's called a hair mineral tissue test to determine. Could be mercury toxicity, but typically it would be more copper, although that could be very common in the body with mercury fillings, et cetera, impact from seafood as well. Mercury can be found in the body. So subnormal body temperatures, irregular heartbeats, dizziness. Again, just the list can be numerous because each person is unique. So their symptoms, and we usually say our body responds to, how it responds to health or disease is the strength of your tissues and organs, and those are usually the tissues and organs that are weakest are usually impacted first, so that's why it will be different. So at this time, I would like to pass it over to Beth Leopold, and she is going to share her story with you.
Thanks, Bonnie, and thanks, Cheryl, for having us on tonight. I'm going to kind of just lead you through my story. My journey started a year ago yesterday, to be exact, and I can't believe it's been a very long year of learning lots of things. I could recall it exactly because we were actually flying to my daughter's official college visit, and my symptoms were triggered during each flight I took. Flying is a very stressful thing for me, and I actually had to fly 4 times in 2 weeks. We had gone to conference and then came right back and got on another flight and went to her school. And I can recall on each flight something was triggered. For me, it started with blurred vision. I had severe nausea and dizziness immediately. Those were my main things. And over the next month, extreme fatigue had set in. So from November, so that was That was about October because we're at the end of October. So from November to the start of January, I never got out of bed. I literally slept. As Bonnie said, like I slept all night and I wanted to get back into bed the next day and just stayed in bed, other than to make doctor's appointments to try to figure out what was going on. I went to 11 specialists from vestibular, cardiology, ENT, neurology, endocrinology, OBGYN, and on down the list. And I will tell you that just going through that process is stressful because they just kept referring me to another specialty. It was like that was cleared, and then I went to the next thing, and then that was cleared, and that was to the next thing. So during this time, I couldn't even look at my phone. It killed my eyes. I could not stand or sit up for more than 5 minutes. I had some type of head fog or dizziness and had gone to vestibular, and they ruled out everything inner ear. So that was quite a challenge to figure out what was happening there. I couldn't tolerate any stores like Target or grocery stores because the lighting was so overwhelming. And also so many things on the racks and the shelves in the store would just overwhelm me. So that was like completely eliminated from my life, just actually until a few months ago. So just getting up and putting in a load of laundry in the washing machine was exhausted. Forget any type of cleaning, making a bed, or even trying to vacuum one rug was just like I sprinted a race and needed to lay down and rest. Sometimes the task for the day was getting my hair to wash my hair, which required me to like sit on the floor and blow dry it because I literally had no energy to stand. And that was my accomplishment for the day. So very scary. And to give you a little background, I love fitness and health. I have been teaching fitness classes since I was 16 years old. I'm highly driven. I love doing things. And guess what? I'm a type A. Just like Bonnie said, I love to be busy and get things accomplished. So totally to not be able to do anything was extremely difficult. Although there were times that I was so tired during that period, I honestly didn't care that I couldn't do anything because I was exhausted. My husband and my kids had to take over. Audra and Dawson were in high school, and I was very grateful. We actually had retired Eric, my husband, from his career 4 months before this hit me. And I'll share in a bit how I say this business just continues to keep showing up in our lives. Another big symptom I had was heart palpitation. So when I had gone through cardiology, they ran tests, and one doctor, he did say, you know, I had these palpitations specifically in the middle of the night that would wake me up. And through some tests, he said, you know, one doctor wanted to put me on beta blockers. Another wanted to actually put in an emergency pacemaker in the hospital. And being proactive in health and, you know, with my husband, we said we really need a second opinion. I mean, that's a big thing for, you know, being early 40s to have something like that put in your body. So in the meantime, 2 chiropractors that are on my team said, Beth, this could be the adrenals. And I said, what? You know, they started talking about it, and I said, I'm not stressed. You know, I think, you know, this is my life. I love what I do. I honestly I'd never heard of adrenal anything before. I really had to look up to see what the adrenals did. So I went to get a second opinion from another cardiologist about the pacemaker, he said. And he said that the palpitations could definitely be linked to the adrenals and encouraged me to look at that route. So I was happy to hear that. It gave me a little bit of encouragement. And he sent me to endocrinology to test out adrenal stuff. And she basically said that after all the tests, you're healthy. She said, I kept saying, this is not normal. And it's hard because, you know, they don't know who you are and what your life is like. And I was very frustrated because, you know, Western medicine doctors, you know, they don't look at adrenal fatigue as a diagnosis unless it's probably like insufficiency or Addison's disease. So basically after having no diagnosis and 2 months later, I was just trying to get through each day. I couldn't work my Juice Plus business at all. I couldn't do phone calls. I couldn't coach people or anything that required focus. That 1.5 months of being in bed all the time is something I don't ever want to remember. So out of the blue one day, I remembered Dr. Bonnie Schnautz, another national marketing director here on our phone, had some adrenal issues. It just came to me that I had heard this, and I called her out of desperation. At the same time, I believe she was reaching out to me because she heard what was going on with me, and I would do anything at this point. She lived in Indiana, and I was in Florida, and I thought, how would this work? Well, I finally had hope. She said, Beth, I'll mail you the test kits, and we have to wait about 2 weeks. So last year during Christmas Day and the day after, I literally did all my testing, cut out the foods and did all of that. In January, we had a consult, and finally she had some answers. Finally, I had answers. And, if you guys are searching for if you have a medical condition or have gone through this, I mean, when you have an answer, it gives you some hope. And she had said, I had adrenal fatigue stage 2. Now take it, Dr. Bonnie had stage 3, and I thought, oh my gosh, what would stage 3 be like? And I was headed there if I did not fix this in my life. So I was relieved we had some answers, so I thought, let the healing begin. The first thing we did, she said to me that this would be a 1 to 3 year recovery. And I thought, what, how, when, and why? I mean, how do I do this with my type A personality, 1 to 3 years? And she said, hold on, Beth, this is a journey. It's a life change, emotionally and physically. I needed to rest. Your body just didn't get here. It is years of life that brought you here. And it's so true. I mean, things in our life just continues to build, and it's emotional is just as important as physical, or even more so. So we had our results, and now we can narrow down on what's going to help me. So this required patience. So my 3 focuses were, my biggest trigger was emotional stress, and that all went back to the airline flights. My body was in such a stressful situation on those flights that I think that some of that triggered those final things. So emotional stress, we worked on, yes, digestive stress needed improved. And I had a lot of hormonal stress, so 3 big stressors in my body which triggered adrenal issues. So we started with food changes. Now I've always eaten healthy, but if you really know the power of food and what Dr. Bonnie taught me and what I learned, being involved with this Juice Plus community for years and getting on these educational calls, I know I had to make some changes to heal. So the first thing I did was cut out caffeine. It's the worst thing for your adrenals. And, I know people are addicted to coffee, but it's something to think about. And I've been caffeine-free since December, and honestly, I don't think I'll ever go back. If we treat our bodies right, we don't need caffeine. We cut out gluten, no dairy. Drinking water is crucial. We hear it all the time, but it's one of the most important things for our body functioning with our organs. I would continue my Juice Plus and cut out processed food and sugar. Now, I had been on Juice Plus about 12 years, okay, and rarely sick and no antibiotics the whole time. Me and my kids and family have not been on antibiotics. And what I love to share is most people with adrenal issues don't have a strong immune system. Well, I have never gotten sick under all this stress. I am grateful for our power to produce and think, what would it be like if my body didn't have that for 12 years? So I've learned a lot, and I love our Juice Plus capsules that I continue to take. So next, let's talk a little bit about the emotional side. I think this is huge because nowadays I honestly feel that we're going to see adrenal fatigue more and more diagnosed in the future from our society that we live in. I mean, I look at my kids and, they're A's, they're type A's, they're driven. My daughter's a Division I athlete in college playing basketball this year, and I've been having these talks with her about, life and what we do and so much that we put on our plates. I do feel I was seeing signs starting around age 40, and I'm now 44. So I saw the signs coming, but, I just thought, well, I guess I'm getting older. But it really, if you have signs, you have to pay attention and get some answers. It's your body slowly telling you something's going on. Emotional stress is everywhere, and with our world being so busy and not having time to shut off, this is huge. I also identified that I struggled with worry, so this was something that I had to work on personally. After going to a therapist, I remember her saying, Beth, do you know how to relax? And I sat there and said, no. And she said, does your brain ever shut off? And I said, no. I mean, those were 2 really hard questions that I thought, I don't know how to do that. How sad is it that I just thought this was me, but these are things we all learn in life that we have to work on. So I had many things in this category to work on. I learned to meditate and breathe, and this was extremely difficult to learn how to be still. I embraced the practice of restorative yoga, and I don't know if anyone, I had no clue what restorative yoga was, look at it completely different, and I have learned to do this practice because it teaches us to shut off our central nervous system and allows for healing. I actually started and only tolerated 3 minutes a day, and now I can work up to 1 hour a day, and my hope is to help others through our journey, other type A's, to learn how to be still. I never thought I had time for it. And I always considered exercise to be, I've been teaching fitness for 16 years, and it's always, how many classes can you do? You've got to work harder. I mean, run faster, all these things. But what I learned is there's a mental side. And I learned now that I have to look at exercise completely different. I know it's a journey, and it's going to lead me to a better place. So after all of Dr. Bonnie's guidance with me, and as I food journaled constantly, I realized we were really doing the Shred 10 program. When I think about our Shred 10 program, our Juice Plus program, it was like this aha. A lot of people do this for 10 days to jumpstart better health, but here I was every day getting rest. I had no caffeine. I had no alcohol, no processed food. No sugar. I actually gave up 3 months ago no sugar completely in my diet because we know what sugar's doing in our society, and cancer thrives on sugar and disease thrives on sugar. Increase the water, no gluten, take Juice Plus every day, and incorporate the shakes. This is the program. It's not a fad. It's a lifestyle and the foundation for better health on this journey. So I'm really proud of this program that we have after living it honestly every day since December. We just retested everything, actually just a few weeks ago. Dr. Bonnie sent me all the kits, and I redid everything. It's been 9 months since I had tested in January, and I have improved in so many ways. Remember we said 1 to 3 years. I literally have hope now. I attended our last conference. I'm so proud of myself for what I've learned. I know my limits, but my lifestyle change will make me healthier as I know I move into the years ahead of me. My hormones have improved dramatically. My body's producing more cortisol for energy, and the emotional stress is now balanced, and I'm truly feeling great. We take each month, and my husband and I always say, I'm better than I was last month. I appreciate everything so much more, our Juice Plus community, the proactive people that reached out to me and educated me over the years. I probably would have, honestly, a pacemaker in my body right now and be on meds if I didn't lock arms with this Juice Plus community 12 years ago. I have empathy for the sick now more than I ever did because I understand what it's like when someone doesn't feel good. This business has financially saved us. This product everyone needs to be on, so I just encourage you, don't hold back from sharing. I want to thank Dr. Bonnie for guiding me last year. Dr. Jill Moore and Dr. Garrett Sodano are 2 chiropractors on my team, and they listened to me in the beginning and helped me see that adrenal fatigue is something real. And I want to thank my sponsor, Chris and David Drobes, for teaching me how to build a business that's duplicatable with independent leaders. Our 100 Club team of NMD stepped up to the plate and took over, and I watched their team grow during this time as our whole organization grew. I mean, I didn't work my business for about 9 months. Where else could you not work a job or a career for almost a year and get a pay raise? We had retired Eric 4 months before I got sick. He did everything in the house. He gave me hope every day and kept saying, you're going to get better. Today, he joins me in this business. I'm so thrilled to have him with me. 9 months after he retired, and I didn't work the business at all, we replaced his entire income from his career. Where else can this happen? We have also one of the best medical benefit packages from the Juice Plus company, and we didn't have to worry at all about any medical costs, especially going to 11 specialists, and no referrals. I just booked appointments and went. I just want to share that I say we started this $50 journey 12 years ago. We were in foreclosure, and the business showed up. That's really why I joined 12 years ago. It showed up when we pulled Eric from his career, and now being able not to work and being sick, it showed up again. And I guarantee you, I bet it will show up down the road because we never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So just remember to feel proud, go out and share what we have, and we've got to change lives. And I'm thankful for Juice Plus. So, Bonnie, thanks for letting me share my story, and thank you for all you've given me.
Oh, Beth, you're so welcome. I can't say thank you enough because we have become such good friends through this. That is probably the biggest blessing for me. And I say I give the glory where glory is due, and I'm so grateful for the gifts and just the community that this Juice Plus has provided. And I want to talk a minute about really some steps to healing. I call it the 6 R's. Number 1 is, Beth talked about this, remove inflammatory foods from your diet, remove any toxic processed foods as much as possible. And, of course, as it pertains to adrenal fatigue, caffeine and alcohol are not your friend for many reasons. Caffeine, of course, it dehydrates, it puts stress in the adrenals, it leaches calcium. I could go on and on. So that's number 1. The second one is to reset the gut or the microbiome. That's the second step. The third is to really repair the damage that if there is damage, like in the GI lining, the mucosal lining, those are all things that usually have to take place because digestion definitely has to be optimal when you're healing. Number 4 is restore your nutritional status. Number 5 is to revive those adrenals to support them with the supplementation that you need. And 6 is really rebalancing your neurotransmitters, as we talked about, and that's really that 6-step process. So, as it pertains to, Beth and I was on Juice Plus for almost, 5 years, I believe, when I was diagnosed, and, Beth was on it a whole lot longer, and we know that was foundational. Those 30 fruits and vegetables that are in those capsules that have all that nutritional value because they've been vine ripened and they are, going into the body. Our body's able to easily assimilate them. And, as I mentioned before, when you're under extreme stress, you need 2 to 3 times the amount of nutrients. And Juice Plus provides a simple, easy, convenient form that can happen. And, when I was going through this, I was taking at least, 3 times the normal serving. And the beauty of it, it's just food. And when I started, my journey began, I saw incredible nail growth and hair growth. I mean, things that I really didn't expect, again, because I had been eating, clean for about 10 years. So I knew that, the product's being backed by the clinical research, and that's, 30 plus now, 38 plus. I knew this was foundational. And then, of course, the shakes were a critical part of getting the fiber and the plant protein in the body every single day because the blood sugar imbalances with this can be really powerful, and that's probably true for most people. So getting the less inflammatory foods, avoiding anything with, of course, whey, and reducing, anything with dairy in it as well, and reducing meat, and just adding more of those plants that, combining the Juice Plus whole food concentrates with those shakes gives you about 45 different foods and sources of vitamin D from things like real mushrooms and protein from things like chickpea powder and non-GMO soy and pea and rice. Those are things that the body can easily assimilate. And my last and one of my most favorite products, newer products, is our omegas that are just a blend of 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9, supporting the hormones, the brain health, the neurotransmitters, the emotional, the cardiovascular health. And it is just, like all our products, non-GMO, no fish in it whatsoever, which I absolutely love. No marine life is impacted negatively from these products. So, and just to kind of close with my happy ending, I improved my adrenal health and moved from phase 3 to phase 2 in 1 year. They told me, like I said, what I read and what I was told it would take up to 5. So, again, I know having Juice Plus in my system with a extremely, healthy diet and really working on reducing my stress level. I closed my physical wellness center after, actually about a year and a half ago, and I was able to retire just like Beth and Eric were into a life of freedom with my Juice Plus business, and now can be a stay-at-home dog mom. My son is very healthy and prospering, which is really exciting. So I will be forever grateful, just like Beth, to the Juice Plus products, to this community, and to this business. So Cheryl, I want to thank you for allowing us to share, and I just want to wish everyone health and happiness.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Schnautz, and to Beth as well. You both so articulate in sharing something that, was not only very personal but very powerful. And I think for so many people, and I certainly have experienced this in my lifetime, where you have something that is really not allowing you to function well, and nobody has any answers. That's a really difficult place to be in. And I think something that's come across loud and clear tonight is that Juice Plus, and we hear this all the time, and I've certainly experienced it in my life here over the 25 years that I've been consuming the product. Our product is 25 years old at this point, even though fruits and vegetables and berries and omegas have been around a really long time. We have been able to, bring it in this way in very convenient form where people can really get a huge infusion, you might say, of nutrition. But the one thing that we hear over and over is that, and we see, is that whatever your body is dealing with, it's going to deal with it much more efficiently. And you both have certainly proven that. And, the most difficult of times was something that was very seemingly intangible as far as identification, that it really made a difference for you in bringing it back around. And so, first of all, very happy for both of you, because that's one thing we do have in our Juice Plus community is a real caring, I think, for one another, and people from so many different walks of life and so many different expertise that can come together to help each other, and then in doing so really set an example for others in the world, or give hope, you might say, to others who might not have come across information to help themselves at this point. So once again, thank you both so much, and I know that both your businesses and your health are flourishing at this point, and that's very exciting to hear. So for everyone on the line, it's been a great joy to join with all of you tonight in sharing this information, and look forward to calls to come that, do the same. But thank you both so much tonight for your insight and your wisdom, and we all appreciate it. So good night, everyone, and we'll be talking to you again next week.